Hey up and welcome to Callums Corner. Right, prepare yourselves because today we're going to give the nonce hunting a rest and we're going to turn our not inconsiderable attention to another big real world problem. Extreme stupidity. So, recently I've been doing some research for a special video into conspiracy theories. It's been fun and I am really looking forward to making some proper videos into my investigations. However, this is not one of those videos. As a result of my investigations, my recommended has become an absolute bag of arse, a breeding ground for the stupids and the drug addicts. And I have decided to share with you an extreme example of this intense thickness. A conspiracy theory so stupid that it actually makes flat earthers look smart. Okay, enough waffling. Let's watch the introduction of this little nugget that I've found so you too can appreciate just how stupid some people can be.
Ladies and gentlemen, no matter how strange things get here, they just get stranger. There is a national monument in Wyoming known as Devil's Tower. Now, this is a rock, a very old rock, and it is the only one of its massive size in the area, surrounded by trees. At first glance, this looks like a mountain or just a large mass of rock left behind after erosion. Now, this wouldn't seem strange except for that this rock has a shape that is eerily similar to that of a tree stump. And if you think that's crazy, there are many more of these around the world. So the only question that remains, if a structure like this is an ancient tree stump, then who the hell cut it down?
I mean, is that the only question? Just who cut it down? I don't know about the rest of you, but after hearing that this guy thinks that these mountains, well, volcanic plugs to be precise, because that's what they actually are giant ancient tree stumps, just because they look a little bit like one, I'm left with a lot more questions personally, like, what the hell is wrong with this bloke's head? I think it's important to make clear at this point, because you're most likely thinking that this is just the ramblings of someone who's got a well-developed meth habit, that no one would believe this. This video has over 2.5 million views and a fairly decent like ratio. So there are actually people in the world who are taking this pile of anal leavings seriously. Anyway, I don't want you to think that this is a stitch up, that I've taken the most outrageous introduction ever made and kind of played it in glorious isolation. I think it's important now that we push on, kind of flesh out the theory a little bit and hear the science behind it. So next this guy launches into a disjointed and lengthy biblical rant. I will spare you most of it. And I'm just going to play you at the very end where he really pulls these theories together and makes his very factual assumptions.
God, the Nephilim? What do you think they did to this place while they were here? I can only assume that they terraformed our planet into a total wasteland.
Wow, of course. I mean, that is all you can assume, really, isn't it? Obviously, our planet was terraformed into a total wasteland.
First, what is soil? The Earth's soil is made up of unconsolidated minerals and organic matter, mixed with water and gases, compost. It is the layer of skin on the Earth in which vegetation can grow. Are you with me so far? Don't worry, this will all make sense in a moment.
You're with him so far. It is mad complicated science going on here, but soil is confusing. So don't worry, he has reassured us all of this complicated stuff will make sense in a minute. He then goes on to do the same and explain about rocks, which I will spare you from. But I think it's very important we rejoin him and learn about deserts.
So let's look at our deserts. We know that these tiny grains of sand in the desert come from small rocks and finally larger rocks. But there seems to be more sand than large rocks, which gives the impression that the desert sand was not left behind by the elements or eroded rock, but dumped there.
Bloody pikeys and their fly tipping.
You look at a geographical map of the world and took all of the continents and pieced them together as one mass of land. Then you can see that the major deserts of the world line up to form one large massive desert. Where did this desert come from? Well, let's say that before it was a desert, it was lush green land that was hit by a meteor. And this meteor cracked the landmass into several continents.
Yeah, let's just say that, shall we? I mean, we are ignoring most accepted scientific theory, continental plate shifting, etc. But yeah, let's just say that.
Forming a crater filled with water that we know to be the Gulf of Mexico. The surrounding desert is nothing more than the aftermath of a great explosion from the meteor impacting Earth. This is one possibility.
Yeah, I mean, that is one possibility, technically, as long as we are defining possibility as any old idea that you can think up in your brain that doesn't have to bear any resemblance to reality, then yeah, that is one possibility.
But it can't account for every desert in the world. So, another possibility is that this desert sand was physically dumped by ancient beings. What beings? We don't know, but I'm sure you can guess.
What a tease!
What if I told you that the Grand Canyon is not a natural land formation, but that it was dug out? It's just a long hole that was left after massive mining.
I mean, this is just me, but personally, if you told me that, given that I can clearly see the signs of erosion that has made the Grand Canyon, I personally would mark you down as either being pissed or mental and not listen to another word you said. But 2.5 million people can't be wrong, so I'll shut up and we'll continue to be educated.
Now, keep in mind that when you dig a hole, you have to put the dirt somewhere. Could it be that something like a volcano is nothing more than a large burning landfill? Now, the reason I bring all of these things up, the soil, the rocks, the deserts, quarries, is to begin to paint a picture and show that the earth we live in is a deliberately terraformed, gigantic desert wasteland.
Is that the picture he's painted?
So now that we got all the science crap out the way, let's get into the good stuff.
I mean, I'm not really sure that anything he's spoken about up until now could be called science, but he's definitely got one thing right, isn't he? I mean, science and facts, it's crap, it's for losers. Scientists, bunch of bloody virgins.
Now here's the theory, plain and simple. Around our planet, there are hundreds of land masses known as mesas. This is an isolated hill with a flat top and very steep sides. And some believe that these mesas are actually ancient giant tree stumps. Why do they believe this? Because they look like giant tree stumps.
Because it looks a bit like one, doesn't it?
So, even if the oldest tree in the world is over 5,000 years old, then what happened to the older trees?
He's so happy. He's so happy like he's proved it. There's no 10,000-year-old trees, so they must have been gigantic ones. I mean, did they not just die, the old trees? It's also why there's no 500-year-old humans or 100,000-year-old cats. Living things have a lifespan, and they die.
These mesas look like the remains of trees that have been cut down, not to mention the mountains, which look like trees that have been broken off at their base. Now, if you look at something like Devil's Tower, we're talking about a tree that would have been over 19,000 feet tall, and the circumference of its base is a little over a mile long. So, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. If a giant or alien cut this tree down, what do they do with it?
Hold on. We'll get back to the giants and aliens. Of course, obviously, we're not stupid. We understand that we need to discuss the giants and aliens, clearly. But can we just take a moment to appreciate that this bloke thinks there was a tree that was 19,000 feet tall? That's over half the height that a commercial airplane flies at.
Where are the remains of the machinery or tools it took to cut such a massive tree down? And where's the rest of the tree? What did they use it for? Well, some believe that these gigantic trees were cut down, mined, and burned.
Oh, wouldn't you bloody know it? There's no proof because the giants and aliens cut them all down and burnt them. Possibly, actually thinking about it, is a self-defense against the White Walkers. I mean, that's about the most credible idea that I can think of. The giants cut them down and were forced to relocate to the bloody beanstalks.
Imagine what type of world it must have been when these trees were still alive. I mean, these mountains and mesas do look as if they were grown.
Just imagine what sort of world that would have been. I mean, no, thanks to me, really. I don't want to imagine anything that goes on in this blog's head, to be honest with you. However, he isn't done yet. He's got another theory, because mountains aren't the only thing that look a bit like other stuff.
What about the salt flats of Bolivia? Now, I'm not saying that this is the top of a giant tree stump, but again, we have this geometric pattern throughout the flats, as if someone had laid down tile.
Yeah, what about the salt flats of Bolivia? I mean, obviously, he isn't saying it's the top of an ancient gigantic tree, and I'm glad, because that would just be mental chicken oriental, but it does look a little bit like tiles, so it's most likely the result of an ancient giant who likes tiling. My God, the stupid is hard here. It's gone full bloody blown. I mean, it's like an epidemic. 2.5 million people have spent over 10 minutes of their life seriously watching this video. Just listen to some of these comments. There is nothing new under the sun. What we deem as new knowledge is actually history of the distant past. What was hidden from us is now being known. Knobhead. Interesting. I never even considered it. And why would you consider it? It's mental. I believe there was a more advanced civilization before the Big Bang. Just look at Machu Picchu. I mean, just learn how to spell Machu Picchu. Like your style. Subbed. I mean, where did you find the time to even watch it, let alone subscribe? You seem like the kind of person who's mad busy at your job in McDonald's. I couldn't agree more. A lot of times they tend to make the truth seem far-fetched. Of course, if we read the Book of Enoch, it tells of the Titans labouring the trees. As the metaphor goes, the sky is falling. I believe, just like Jack and the Beanstalk, those trees reached into heaven and other realms and dimensions. Jesus, James. Christ almighty. Oh, it's too stupid. It's so stupid I can't even bother to say anything about it. Right, okay, I've had enough of this. I can't deal with this stupidity anymore. I don't even know if you've enjoyed this video, if it was worth making, if it was maybe too stupid. I've had to edit it a lot. I've been speaking quickly. I'm sorry, I do like to just sit and talk to you normally, but there was a lot of stupidity to cram into it. Let me know. Let me know if it's worth me making more of these. If you like it, leave me a thumbs up. If you dislike it, leave me a dislike, a thumbs down. I am going to make the proper conspiracy videos. They are coming, and there's some very exciting stuff happening over the next few days. So if you want to stick around, feel free to subscribe. Well, thank you very much for watching.